Hello. How healthy is your business? And do you know of anyone who has perfect health? Frederick Douglass said, if there's no struggle, there is no progress. And if you had to think of one word that you feel is the opposite of progress, what would you say? What is a word that actually would be the opposite of progress? You write it in the comments section if you like. Write it down. I want to see if your word is different from what I'm going to say. Well, those, if some of you said perfection, that's the winner. That's the winning word right there. It's perfection. Today we're going to talk about progress versus perfection. We're going to talk about the impact that progress and perfection has on mental health. And we'll talk about how to safeguard business protection. So we'll talk about those two areas, the impact that progress and perfection has on mental health and how to safeguard your business. We'll talk about those two areas today. I was looking at a video this morning, and the video was about Prince Harry and Prince William. They were taken to a shelter by their mother, Princess Diana. And the boys were just, they were just lit up. She just had them excited about meeting these individuals. They were meeting, and she was, I guess, letting them just get to know them. But anyway, watching them look at this environment from their eyes, they had never seen anything like this before. Never. They were playing chess, they were playing games with them, and it was admirable to see a mother take that kind of interest in her boys to go and let them get to view and see that perfection does not exist, does it? Because they're in the progress there of what? Of helping them to have home, to prevent homelessness, preventing hunger, and that's what the boys were able to see. I thought that was real interesting to see her do that. But when you think of the effects sometimes of mental health, what comes to your mind? You think of depression, anxiety, burnout. What about procrastination? Because a lot of us think of procrastination when we're thinking of a journey we're traveling, right? When you're thinking of a journey that you travel, sometimes you think of, well, I don't feel like I've got it together. It's not together yet for me. So you put it off because you're looking for what? Perfection. And, and we have to learn that perfection, again, is adverse to progress. Now, I want to ask you today, I want your evaluation today on a few questions. I want you to determine what level of actual perfectionism you may have in your own life. I want to give you three questions, and if you want to come back during the replay, if you want, and just listen to the questions all over again. The first one is, do you greet every new task with a fear of failure? Do you greet every new task with a fear of failure? Okay. Second, do you set unrealistic expectations for yourself and become upset? Sorry about that. Sorry about that. And become upset when you can't meet them. Do you become upset? And third, do you feel like even when you're at your best, it's never enough? Those are the three questions. Think about those questions because and then if you want, just journal about it. If you want to come back and put something in the comment section, that would be great. But I wanted to just tell you but with myself and on my journey, I've always been in sales. I was in sales for a number of years. And so in sales, when you think of perfection, they really look forward to you being perfect with sales. And the sales, when you've got perfection, you're looking to control. You really don't care. You've got a fear of failure, And, and you're also critical of yourself and critical sometimes of other people. And so being in sales, I was actually working for a newspaper in advertisement. So I had to travel sometimes 4 o'clock in the morning. And I lived in an area, a rural area that I've always been an urban person, but I moved to an area in Mississippi, guys, after being married. And so it was a really new experience for me. So I'd have to leave around 4 a.m. in order to get to different locations, to farming or wherever I had to go, different industries that I didn't know anything about, but I still went because it was my job. And also, I wanted to get to know more about, advertisement, advertising industry. So I did. So I went, I traveled. And so went out, took, boots with me, took because I always wore like maybe 3 to 4 inch heels, took those off, changed into boots, and went on up and talked to them. And I did well in sales. I did well because I I met their expectation. It wasn't about what I had never done before, but I knew that I had to step up and meet them, right? So there was a little bit of a little bit of stress there, but actually it got to be exciting for me because it was different. It was different. And I want to go on and talk about also when you're talking about, like I said, expectation, the expectation of being perfect, you know that there will be failure and you have to learn to face those setbacks, right? Face them and be willing to be ready to move forward. But there was someone else that I wanted to tell you, another story I want to tell you about. And this is dealing with progress. This gentleman climbed a 19-story building. And I may have told this story before, but I'm telling it again. He'd heard that his mother was in the building and his building was on fire. So he came, he talked with the police, he spoke with the firefighters, and they said that they were working on it, doing the best that they could to try to get, his mother and all the other residents out. So he decided he'd climb it. He climbed 19 stories. Earlier that day, he had injured his left arm and had it in a sling. So, can you imagine climbing without being able to use your left arm? I mean, I don't know how in the world he did it, but there's a picture of him actually climbing this building. So, he got up to the top, spoke to his mom, and she said that she had received information saying that they had put the fire out and they were also coming to take her downstairs. That she'd be coming downstairs, but he didn't wait there with her. He climbed back down 19-story building, and the police told him that they were not going to arrest him because they knew that he got gotten out and he did it out of urgency. So again, when you look at progress, when you're looking at progress, you look at the unexpected. You're looking at not only unexpected, but you just there's no fear there. You don't feel the fear. You do what you feel has to be done at that particular moment, right? And so that's what he did. It was unexpected. There was an unexpected challenge that occurred. This young man, and you also give yourself permission to make mistakes. And guys, I want to tell you, I've started doing that in my life and in my business, and I'm calmer now. There's much more calmness. It helps my mental health by being calm about life and about being calm about these challenges. And just know if something doesn't come through, that's like when I do business with my clientele and we are setting together strategies that help to protect the business. And then we go through well, what if this or what if that? And I tell them, what if? Because something is going to go wrong, because something does in life happen in every situation. But when it does, I talk to them about mental health, about being adaptable, about using the times that we have, set strategies up. Those practices help you at a time when you don't know what you might anticipate doing because something's happened and you don't have a plan in place. So now, because you practiced, you've worked at the different strategies and things of that nature, it helps you to just stay calmer. You're much calmer now. And also with with progress, you celebrate the small wins. Always celebrate your wins. Be proud of yourself because there will not be perfection. And the only, like I said, benefit to perfection is excellent. You can use perfection to achieve excellence, but there will be setbacks. And when the setbacks occur, you just have to just greet it and then turn around and create something new that you can do in its place when you have an opportunity to do it. At that point, just don't react, just stay calm and act. Okay. Another thing about progress is those the negativity that comes in our lives when we're either in a business or even on a job is the negativity that leads to serious mental health issues because it does anxiety, depression, and sometimes suicide. And that's why we have to learn again not to become so stressed with that. We just have to know that setbacks create lessons for us. Setbacks create us to become wiser. So now we become wiser in the business, become wiser business leaders. And then you can exemplify your bravery for others to see. You're exemplifying it, right? Now, I want to tell you that in my business, I have worked with a partnership. And this partnership, there were five of them. Five partners, guys, five of them. And so we sat around and we're talking, right? And they said, but Marlene, what if one of us dies? What if one of us becomes disabled? What if, right? So we sat and we, went back and forth. And then what I did is I took a sheet and there are five of them, right? I drew five columns. I turned the sheet of paper around where it was horizontal and I drew five columns. Each column, I sat and I listened to them. I listened to what they were already currently doing to protect the business. And I characterized each one of the business owners. I listened. You have to come in and listen first before you can really problem solve. You have to first listen. So I'm listening and they're talking. So I'm listening to who's more in the controlling type of area, who's willing to be who's saying, well, we're gonna make mistakes, but we're capable of still moving forward. So you found people who were more of a perfectionist, and then some more of persons who are willing to implement progress. Thank you, David. Great seeing you. Great seeing you. And there's some there who are really looking at the progress that can be made, right? So I'm sitting there looking at them. And so I said, let me go through all of your questions. Now, you mentioned if someone became disabled, right? I say, now you've got employees in your business because your protection, first of all, you said you would like it to include not only just yourself and asset protection, but you want it to include family, the employees. So you mentioned just a list, but I want to start with, first of all, the employees. First, you implement succession planning, right? Everybody knows about succession planning. That's a time when you start to train those the employees, train them so that if someone is sick, train them so if there's a vacation time that somebody has to take, or if they have to travel for business purposes, you got someone ready and able. You've trained them to step into the shoes of leadership. So, and you got also somebody ready to step into their shoes. So you don't only just look at the leader, the person that's maybe the executive level, but somebody step into that person's shoes as well, because there may come a time when you may have to do what? Open the door and say, look, I'm ready for you to invite you to come on board with us. Come into this position. So first of all, the employees, let them know how important they are to you. Remember the great resignation. You remember all of the people who actually left the jobs and then some of them were terminated. Think about that. Now, those leaders who ended up terminating employees, think about a lot of them didn't give those employees self-worth. And then the employees who left those companies. They didn't feel that they were being cherished themselves. So I was telling them, we've got to show the employees that they do value, that they mean something. So let's invite them to give do a survey of some type, get their responses and see what they think, should be done here. So we did a few surveys and we ended up getting a training class where they invited employees to come on board. And finally, they were getting trained. There was a lot of excitement, enthusiasm, and they had less people at that point to want to leave the business because they were being what? They were too busy being trained. So they didn't think about leaving. They felt that they mattered. So if somebody, when people had to, like I said, had vacation, if there was a sickness, they had somebody right there ready to fill the role. Okay, now, when you think about, like I said, let's say somebody terminated. If one of the five, and I told them this, I listened to them, and then I told them some things that some of them didn't like. You have to be honest, right, David? Got to be honest when you're talking to someone in business. You want to be honorable, respectful with them, but you gotta be honest. So it came down to honesty. And so I told them, look, someone leaves, if one of you leaves, if there's somebody that you really depend on, if there's a key player right now in your business that you guys really depend on, what if they leave? Then you've got to be ready. Have somebody else that's ready to move into that place, right? Because that's going to occur. Now, with the leadership though, when someone leaves, I had like policies. You can have a policy where each one of them invest in it. If there are five business owners, each one of them invest. See, there's an investment that takes place. They had to all invest in one another's coverage so that when one of them were to leave, if they died or became disabled, something like that occurred, they now do what? Acquire and split the share. They split it, right? So each time somebody leaves, the shares are split. That's how you manage it. And you keep down the mental health, you can then manage it because you now have something in place that won't get everybody so excited. So now I'm talking to them and saying that there's a possibility that one, two, maybe even three of you could either leave. There could be a termination. There could be an illness. And I'm sorry, guys, someone could die. And I know they didn't want to hear all, but I told them, I said, so we put together what's called a buy-sell agreement. Buy-sell agreement is just nothing more. It's an agreement. It says that something occurs, then you also don't leave out the family. The family receives what? They receive a percentage. Like this is that insurance coverage, got insurance coverage, so that the family will can be able to take care of the mortgage on the house and things like that, take care of college for the children. And then that percentage is like it's a sign over. The family signs it over. And now they've got that percentage that the husband would have owned. Now they can split it. So you have to have some type of agreement in place. And what if you got a married couple? A couple that's married, I've talked about this before, and it doesn't matter because you don't even have to get a divorce to have a buy-sell agreement or even life coverage on one another to protect the business. Because what if you're married and one of you just wants to leave and go and do something else, want to do something else instead of stay there and work in the business? Then you can leave, let that person leave. You can give them a certain percentage or so on their retirement. Then you can get the rest of the shares will be in place for the person that's staying there. That owner then becomes 100% owner. If there's a divorce, same thing. Same thing. Then, of course, outside of that would be the divorce, the decree that would take place. But within the business, a buy-sell agreement, insurance helps whoever the partnership is, whether they're married or just a partnership in general. But all I'm saying here is that it really lessens the type of mental strain and stress that you could have in a business when you start off looking at how can we protect How can we protect the business? How can we protect the family so that something happens to one of us, whatever happens to any of us, our families will still be taken care of. Everything will still, you'll feel fine knowing that you got asset protection in place, and your employees feel good. They feel good about what you do. That's why I tell a lot of business owners, to a certain point, you really need to let the employees know that there's coverage there. You're thinking about them. I know that they won't have to know everything about what's going on in the business, but let them know that you are putting some kind of a strategy or some type of process in place that helps the business to progress, even if you're not there. I talk to businesses about getting the business strong enough, having a business to progress, having it to be progressive so that the business can stand on its own. What if you've got a business that stands strongly and firmly on its own? And so now somebody's actually looking at you, because before you retire, or before you terminate, or before you become disabled, or even after the death, people are looking at your business. They're looking at your business right now. They're looking at you. And I've said this before, and I know for a fact that they are. I've been around businesses a very long time, and I'm telling you, in business associations, all type of. That's why it's great for you to join an association. Join them so that one day, when you do decide to sell, you got somebody there pretty much who already knows about you. They know you, they trust you, they know that you're equitable, and they're willing to step forward. And they know how you operate. But I'm saying, get the business strong enough so that if you have to be away for a while, there won't be any stress. There won't be a bunch of mental health issues, because everybody will know what they need to do. They'll know their purpose. Get everybody to know their purpose. Know your purpose. And then occasionally invite an expert out, someone who can actually talk about the effects of mental health and how to become even healthier. Let your business grow and be healthy, showing all of you how to do it, and show your employees that you'll be part of it. You need to be right there with them, learning with them, being a part of the meeting, not just introducing that person, but be a part of it. Let them know that you need it just as much as they do. You always have to look at how you can impact the mental health within a business. And again, that's stress. Stress is it. And stress leads to a lot of different things. Stress leads to suicide. Stress can lead to burnout. Stress. And again, like I said, procrastination. When you're looking at perfection, a lot of times I've done it in my life. Looking to be perfect at something and procrastinating because you feel you're not there yet. So what? None of us have been. None of us. Because if you look at a lot of us, because I've looked at Disney, for instance, look at how many times Disney reached out to try to get loans for his business. I think I read he tried to get at least 200 or so. Look at Disney today. Look at Disney. All of us have to be ready to go through something. We have to be ready. And that's why if you can get yourself into a great exercise plan, eat healthy. And I want to tell you something I'm doing right now. Every so often, every week, I do intermittent fast. And so right now, I haven't eaten in 48 hours. And I'll tell you, I feel great. My mind is clear, and I'm not worrying or thinking about anything, things that I would normally have some interest in thinking about. It's calm for me. I want to tell you today, think of ways that you can actually inspire your even the family and the business, and get ideas from them. How can we minimize stress here? Talk to them and just use stress, because again, stress itself leads to so many other different types of challenges that you and the employees can face. So talk with them, find out. Find them. It could be something that they're doing. If you could even allow, like I was telling you once before, exercise plans there on the job that's on site, or if you want to do, if you want to create some type of plan where you can even pay a percentage of it, give them a discount, pay a percentage, pay half and half, 50-50 plan or something. You pay some of it and they pay the other portion of it, or you just pay for, I don't know, one visit or so per month. But let them know how important they are to you. Let them know. Because when you get ready to hire someone new into your business, that's what they're looking for. That's what they're going to be looking at. How happy? Because when I go and if I'm looking at a job or something years ago, I would ask about the employees. How do your employees, I mean, how do they feel about, I would ask different questions. And then I would look at the employees. You know, you could pick up a lot about people just watching them. And looking at them. And I'm gonna tell you this: you can even let the employees. I saw one business where the employees wrote on the wall testimonials. These weren't customer testimonials; these were employee testimonials about what they loved about that business, what they liked, and they also put on the wall what they could also add to. So you're getting feedback and testimonials. Feedback saying maybe we could add a little, some kind of action plan over here to get more. I don't know. Maybe I want coffee more often or something. But I'm saying, open the door and let the light shine, and let your employees have more say. Let them tell you what they think. Also, so we talked again today about the impact of perfection, perfection on mental health. And when you look at the perfection again, people who are looking to control, mainly looking at control, fear, they really don't like to think about failure because they think of fear. And also they're kind of critical of themselves and critical of others. And we look at our progress. We're looking at celebrating success, those success, and also minimizing minimizing negativity, because negativity allows you then to do what? Start to head for stressful situations like burnout, depression, all kind of different. That's when your mental health starts to dive, take a dive when negativity, comes about. So again, and I want to take you back again to Henry Ford. Remember last week we talked about, he said that when you're coming together, he said it's the beginning, right? And today we're talking about the second part of it. He said, but he said, when you're staying together, you start to progress. We're talking about progress today. And the third one next week will be, when you're working together, you become what? Success. Success comes about. So I wanted to say to you today that go back and review the questions that I asked and evaluate you. Evaluate your business. Think about and answer those questions truthfully, and see how you right now. Don't just wait until you feel that you're going to have a burnout. Don't feel like that. Look at it now. This is the time when the light's shining, when you can sort of halfway see. You can now decide what could be done. What can be done for you if you got some employees that who work in your business, and you're seeing that they may have some of these characteristics? Use the questions that I gave you. Use those characteristics and evaluate yourself, evaluate employees, if you're a partnership, evaluate them as well. And get an idea as to who really needs to really minimize that stress. Because you could be able to pick it up. You probably see it already. But this really is impactful, really show you those individuals who really need more self-care, those who need to celebrate more with you on the wins. Always celebrate those wins. I don't care how small they are. When you go around and you are looking, if you have employees, look at the different areas, whatever it is that they've done, celebrate. You know, throw a pound cake in there, say, we're celebrating today. Or at the end of the week, say celebration. At the end of the week, we're going to celebrate all of you, because I'm really pleased and happy and content with what I've seen here today. And most importantly, celebrate yourself, celebrate you. And I want to just end here and say thank you so much for being here with me today. Uh, really happy again that you're here, and look forward also to seeing you again next week when we talk about work together and work. Remember, working together brings what? Success. And you have a great day.